When I took the call over, there was a soft-spoken, calm gentleman on the other end. He told me that there's 3 people that have taken over the flight. At that point, I asked him his name. He told me Todd Beamer. He was from Cranberry, New Jersey.
Did you make a conscious decision not to tell Todd about the World Trade Center? Why?
Yes, because I wanted him to have hope. I wanted him to think that he still had a chance. I didn't want him to feel like it was just totally hopeless, and he definitely didn't have a choice, and he knew he was going to die. I didn't want him to have that feeling.
When he wanted to pray, was your sense then that he knew that?
Yes, I did. I felt that he knew at that time, because he had said, "Oh, Jesus, help us." And then he said, "Lisa, would you recite the Lord's Prayer with me?" And I knew that he knew at that time that it wasn't much left for him to do.
What do you think that this country needs to know about the men and women who were on board Flight 93?
They're all heroes in my eyes. They really are. They all pitched together, and they did what they thought was the best thing to do at that time. And I feel that Todd played a great role in that, because when he told the guys, "Are you ready?" I assumed that they were waiting on his cue. Then they responded to him, and he said, "Okay, let's roll."
And would you please help me welcome his wife, Lisa Beamer, here tonight.
She called me that Saturday morning. I told her, I said, "You have 2 boys, David and Andrew?" She said, "Yes, yes, I do." I said, "And you're expecting your 3rd child?" She said, "Yes. He told you all of that." I said, "Yes, he did. And he wanted me to let you know that he loved you and his family very much." And I gave her a message and kept my promise.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
For over a century, hundreds of thousands of people from across the nation and around the world have come to enjoy the annual spectacle of the Spring Cherry Blossom Festival. It's a spectacle that almost failed entirely to come into being. Efforts to plant cherry trees in the nation's capital dated back to 1885. But a quarter century passed without progress, until Japanese officials asked to donate thousands of cherry trees as a symbol of the friendship between the two countries. In 1910, the first shipment of trees arrived in the United States, but inspectors found them infested with insects and disease. All 2,000 trees were destroyed. Despite a potential diplomatic disaster, arrangements were quickly made to ship a new batch of over 3,000 trees to Washington, D.C. in January 1912. In March of that year, First Lady Helen Taft and the Viscountess Chinda of Japan finally planted the first trees. Descendants of those original trees still stand along the tidal basin, casting reflections of pink and white light. Walk leisurely underneath, or simply stop and enjoy a few minutes relaxing by the water. Today, there are nearly 4,000 cherry trees planted around the tidal basin, along the Potomac River, on the grounds of the Washington Monument and the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. A peak bloom, a carefully forecast event that also depends on weather conditions, is as stunning as it is brief. Finding yourself in Washington, D.C. during this short time is an experience to be cherished.